I spoke on the phone with Luke Wesneski, head coach from Alfred University. We talked about what he's looking for in a player, what they need to do to get his attention, and we touched on why Alfred is a great place to play collegiate softball. Luke is in his third year as head coach at Alfred. Before Alfred, he coached at Bucknell and Susquehanna University, and he managed and played softball himself for over 10 years. Alfred is a private university in western New York. There are just around 2,000 students in attendance. It was established in 1836. It offers over 60 majors, and they play in the Empire 8 Athletic Conference. Follow Luke on Twitter at Luke Wesneski, and you can follow Alfred Softball at Alfred_softball. This conversation is about 20 minutes. I edited out certain parts of the discussion that weren't pertinent for this particular project. And now, here's me and Luke Wesneski.
When I was, this was 1987. So I was probably 9 years old back then. My older brother was working on getting recruited to college for baseball. And he had the word processor out, and he was typing out letters to trifold and then mail out to college coaches to help with his recruiting. When I was in high school, I graduated in 97, I would get my stats, newspaper articles, go to Kinko's, make photocopies and make a little book, and I mailed that out to college coaches. My younger brother, he played ball at UCLA. He graduated in the year 2000. He made VHS tapes of his recruitment and sent those out. And now we're at blue YouTube links, for kids to send out for self-promotion. And so I ask everybody this: how important are those blue YouTube links that you get on a regular basis from the kids?
I would put that, they're very, I wouldn't say they're important to me, especially because I love recruiting West Coast players, and I can't always get out there to see them, and I don't always have a contact that has seen them play or played against them, or, that doesn't maybe know that travel team that well. So if I'm able to see a skill set, on the, through a YouTube clip, to me that's important on whether I want to pursue that athlete or I don't. I look for certain things, with those clips, and like I said, Stacy does a great job putting those together, and I know you helped her with that. I've always taught, when you're doing a video, put your best thing first. If you're a great hitter, put the hitting first, and if you're a great pitcher, you're putting the pitching first. And so I always know right away, like, hey, what are they really good at, or what do they think they're good at? And I sort of start from there. But if it's somebody who I don't think their skill set is going to, fit either my coaching philosophy or what I'm looking for in a player, I'll watch the video and then either file it or just sort of move on to the next one.
When you get them, do you watch them more on a computer or on your phone or tablet?
Since I'm always mobile, like I'm not always in my office, I'd probably say I watch a little bit more on my phone, but during office hours, I'll certainly watch quite a few of them as well. It's probably 50-50.
Do you listen to the volume at all, or do you usually have it on silent?
That again's probably 50-50. It all depends on if I have, my grad assistants are up here and they're, doing office work, or they're, it just all depends on. I always like to listen to the introduction. I want to see how they, basically how they present themselves. Are they confident? Are they scared? Are they reading off a chart? Like those kind of things. I do like to hear that. I don't necessarily need to hear audio when, they're out there hitting or fielding, things like that.
We have noticed, Stacy and I, because we'll look at the YouTube analytics, and we'll see that the average watch time for a video is just over a minute. And we assume that, a coach will either know or doesn't know what they want, and then hit the X button if they don't like it. So we try to get them to get to their skills as soon as possible, because I think when they do an intro, it may get 35, 45 seconds in before you actually see any softball. And when you get that little spinning spiral when you've watched a video, and sometimes they'll just hit the X if that thing just keeps spiraling, and they may not get the chance to watch it. So we've tended not to put that in there to keep the video shorter and concise. Do you think that's a mistake on our part?
I don't think so. I like the 5-second introductions. I actually just watched, one from you. Just it's a girl from SoCal 3D 16 and under that I just received. I always check the email addresses too, just to see where they're coming from. But, those 5-second intros, 5 to 8 seconds, my name is so-and-so, I play for this team, thank you for watching my video. That, to me, is perfect. I don't need to know what grade you're in, what your GPA is, what your SAT scores are. All that stuff I can find out on my own. I just sort of want to know, what's your name? What if you're graduating 2018, this is who you play for. Thanks for watching my video. That, to me, and that's probably just, a personal thing, but, I just want to see how confident they are in front of the camera there, right from that. I can tell a little bit about them, like, they're confident about their skills, or, all right, maybe they're a little nervous, or, it tells me a little bit about them.
How many emails do you get a day?
Being a Western New York school out near Buffalo, not a lot of people from Midwest out to the West Coast have really heard of Alfred. However, since we start with an A, and people, want athletic training or, health and fitness management or business administration, usually Alfred's one of the first 2 or 3 schools that pops up when they punch in the search engine what they're looking for. So I think at times we probably get a good number of emails. I'd say probably on average 1 to 3 a day, not a ton. And sometimes I might go 4 or 5 days and get 0 emails, and then I might get 10 on a weekend.
So you probably won't need to have a grad assistant or one of your assistant coaches filter through the emails before it gets to you then?
No, I hook them up to our front rush, and they get all the emails that I get when people fill out questionnaires. Sometimes they include my assistant coaches. But I'm a full-time coach. My job is to coach, recruit, and bring in quality student athletes. So I really take that upon myself to filter through, take a good look at every single person that has taken the time to put an email together with a video clip and all that. I think that's important. And I do look for certain things in emails, and I look for certain things, when they're sending, video clips and stuff like that.
When you get some of those emails and it doesn't have a blue YouTube link in it with their video, how do you respond to that? What do you usually tell them? What's usually your taglines you'll use?
So the first thing I look for is who they play for, and I want to know. Then I'll reach out to a couple contacts I have. Have you ever seen this kid play? Do you know anything about this program? Is it a watered down program with 48 different teams in that organization? Is it So I try to find out a little bit, and then I will actually search them on YouTube to see if they do have a video available, but maybe they didn't attach it. Just sort of see what caliber competition they're playing against. Are they going to PGF? Are they staying more smaller local tournaments? Just try to get a little bit of background information on that player, just because, like I said, they may not have a whole lot to show or have the means to be able to do it. So I try to give them give it as many looks as I can to try to find out as much as I can about them, because not everybody is tech savvy or has access to things that other kids might have access to. And but I certainly don't discard it by any means. But if I can't find them on YouTube or search them and I can't find anything, it might get filtered into a different folder that doesn't get looked at too often.
How young do you think players should start with their self-promotion and reaching out to coaches like you?
All right, so being a Division III school, if people have been honest with them throughout their playing career, which I'm very honest with my daughter and whatnot. And if I look at her and say, I think you can go play Division III, to me, all Division III coaches, I think, are probably in the same boat. We don't look too far ahead because, number one, if the kid is, and I do try to recruit small Division I and Division II caliber players because it's the only way I'm going to win a championship, that we're going to win a championship. And, if I just strictly rely on a Division III caliber athlete and there's almost 500 schools that they could go play for, we're not going to win any championships. I've got to reach out to 100 Division I kids, and maybe I get a play from one of them that says, I'm really interested in your school because it's great academics, and that's priority number one for me. So I don't ever shy away from a top-notch kid just because of how darn good they are. If they're a 4.0 and want engineering and have a 1,500 on their SATs, and who knows, maybe Alfred's going to be the place for them. And if I say they're just too good for our program, I'll never know. So I would think for Division III, I think at the beginning of the sophomore year is probably a good starting point for them. Maybe start putting together some stuff after their freshman year of high school, just to start getting their name out there, and maybe hit a couple camps of places that are that they're maybe a little bit interested in. And but again, for us, we can't look too far out because we also are waiting on kids to get offers from Division I's and twos and JUCOs and NAIAs and all that. So for me, it's all about timing, especially with the West Coast kids. And I found that a lot of West Coast kids think if they don't get that Division I or Division II offer, that their playing career is over. And for me, it's that's when I tell them, hey, we package students very well. We are a private school that comes in on the low end tuition wise. We can compete with a lot of state schools, and that's when I try to get them on campus. So I think the beginning of that sophomore year is a good time for somebody who's looking to go non-scholarship, athletically.
You being a private school, do you have a pretty decent travel budget to get out and do your scouting at showcases?
Yeah, I have to say it's extremely adequate. Everywhere I need to get to, I feel that I can stay within my budget, and I plan on making my third trip out to California in the last 3 months in October, and so that'd be 3 trips out there. I hit some local tournaments, some big ones out here. Pennsbury and TNT. The TCS comes out here. I try to hit one of those, and then just a couple small ones, and then just the money allotted for on-campus visits and stuff. And I feel as though my athletic director and our athletic department has allowed me to be able to recruit where and when I need to bring in the best players. I have to say that Alfred has given me the opportunity to get out and about and find these good quality kids. And to be honest, Eric, sitting out, we're in Western New York, and we play in a very good conference, the Empire 8 with us. And Ithaca and St. John Fisher's been in the national finals the last 2 years. We went to the World Series in 2015, so it's a great conference to play in. But I can go out to the West Coast and get these kids out here. Number one, it's a safe place. There's one red light in town. Not a whole lot happens. I think a car got broken into last year in February, and that was like the biggest thing that happened. And, so it's a safe area. And parents they feel really good about sending their kid out here 2,200 miles away, knowing they're going to be safe. Parents know they can lay their head down on the pillow at night and sleep, knowing their kid's going to be in a safe area and a safe community. And that's really the selling point that I use outside of a great education and playing for a good team.
Do you attend a lot of camps, or do you host your own recruiting camp?
I do not host my own recruiting camp because of our location. It's very hard to get those top-notch kids to come in for me to look at. So what I do is I try to go and work other people's camps. I'll go work Bucknell's elite camp. I'll go to Mercyhurst out in Erie, Pennsylvania. I worked USA Preps camp out there this year in Palmdale, which was hotter than hell.
Yeah.
And and then Coach Barber's trying to put together something, for mid-October. I'm hoping to go out and help him with that. So I try to, bounce around, but it's just been, I tried to run a couple camps and the numbers have just been low, and it almost wasn't worth keeping the camp going for, 10, 12, 15 kids, for a day or 2-day camp.
How do you feel about early commits, and do you think this trend is on the incline or the decline?
I think early commits for the Division I's it's on the incline, and I think they're committing too early, number one. I would like to have kids commit to me in the fall semester. However, that's just not really going to happen probably, because a lot of times we're not even getting financial aid packages out until the first week of January. So a lot of them are just waiting to see what kind of money they're going to get academically before they say they want to come or they don't want to come. So it hasn't really changed in Division III. I did get some earlier ones like late October last year. That was awesome, because then I could tell other kids right away, look, I got, my number one shortstop that I was recruiting has committed. So, we're going to, we're set in that area, and then they can go and look other places. Or I try to be as proactive as I can when it comes to that, because this is these kids' future, and I don't want to be recruiting 4 shortstops and one of my top ones commits, and I got 3 other ones that still want to come here, and it's like, well, okay, now I've got one committed, and I can at least tell them that that's happened, and they can maybe pursue another school more heavily.
Do you work with third parties or use recruiting websites?
Captain U's on me all the time, and I can't stand using their site. And then I get messages through Captain U that I never look at, and I try to reach out to those kids and say, look, I don't use this program. So, I have like a free membership that was sort of given to me when I started here, and I just don't get on it. I use Front Rush, and then, people send me stuff through NSR or, whatever, NCSA, whatever it may be. I'll go on and look at their stuff, and that's about it. But I like personal emails. That's big for me. I like looking at emails that are personalized to me or my coaching staff. I look for things in emails such as, did they use 3 different fonts? That means they just cut and paste and didn't really make it individualized. Did they spell my name right? Things like that. So I tend to not use those third parties that often.
How often will players actually pick up the phone and call you directly or leave you a voicemail?
So I would say not often, to be honest. Obviously, usually I'll initiate the phone calls and the texts or emails. Usually it's because I saw them play and I liked, the way they played the game, and I'll be the first one to reach out. They may not even have known I was there. However, to give you an example, she was in Pennsylvania playing at TNT down in Quakertown, and watched her play, gave her recruiting coordinator a card, and she actually reached out and called me on the phone that evening. And that's how I was able to get her up to campus, the next day. She called me. She sat in the hallway at the hotel, and we chatted for about a half an hour. But that doesn't happen often. Most of the time, it's an email. It's easier for them. I feel like kids these days are so into technology that it's easier for them to sit behind their phone, an iPad, a computer, and type their thoughts as opposed to saying them. Phone calls are a little bit easier as opposed to face-to-face, but I just think that's easier for them. So I do understand that, that's where we're going to get most of our communication. It's all about how much they want it, and a lot of times you can see that in a kid right away. Like, do they want it or do their parents want it? I had the story just 3 weeks ago. I got 3 emails from a girl's mom. She's a junior in high school. And I finally emailed the mom back and said, I'm not really looking to speak with you. I'd like to speak with your daughter, and it's very important that she reach out to me. And, don't have your parents do this for you. I, as a college coach, I'm looking for maturity, and things like that. And that's not showing me that you're an extremely mature person if you're still having your mom take care of your emails when you're 17 years old.
Is out of state, how much do they tack on? Because you guys are like 19 a year there in state. Do they tack on like another 10 for out of state?
So being a private school, it's tuition and room and board is the same for everybody, no matter where you're from.
Oh, okay.
So that's the nice thing about private schools. I can't say, oh, hey, you're in state, you get a deal. Because in state it's $44,000, out of state it's $44,000. Now, don't get me wrong, we package our students very, very well. Our top scholarship, if you have a 3.7 GPA or higher and a 1280 or higher on the SAT, you automatically get an $18,000 scholarship. No questions asked. That's a gift, and it's renewable every year. So, like I said, we package them well, and that's not including financial aid. So most of the time, kids, an average student is going to pay, usually they pay yearly about half of what the cost is. So they can pay anywhere from $15,000 a year to $25,000 a year.
Are the majors at Alfred pretty widespread? You're not pigeonholed into specific type?
No, we've got some great majors. Our biggest majors are athletic training. Now, it doesn't work great with softball and sports, but we make it work, and because they have to do so many hours in the fall, in the spring, they have to have so many hours before they graduate. It does cut into practice time occasionally, but our kids have been wonderful about scheduling their hours around practice, and sometimes they just can't do it, and they have to miss a practice. It's never held against them. I'm not, giving them athletic money, so it's not like I can say, hey, I'm giving you a scholarship, you need to be here. So athletic training is big. We also have engineering, so biomaterials, ceramic, those types of engineering. That's one of our biggest majors. Health and fitness management is a new one that just started, and it combines athletic training, the sciences, and coordinators own and operate their own gym. Go on for a master's in physical therapy. That's a great program. And then on top of all, we have a business administration, and we have a master's, an MBA, and that's 1 year after they can stay 5 years and have an MBA. Yeah, so that's been a very big program for us. I know in softball, they'll do the 4-year undergrad, stay for that extra year, do 30 credits in that year, and have their MBA when they leave.
Yeah, it saves you saving a year if you're getting it done in 5.
Oh, absolutely. and most of them will get a grad assistantship in something, whether it's, in the, they can't do it in a sport, but since they're only here for a year, but they can do it in the business department. They can do it in the equipment room. They can do it for the athletic director. They can do it anywhere on campus for that year. And some of them can get that, that free tuition for that 5th year. So it works out pretty nicely. So those, I would say, engineering, business, athletic training, those are our 3 big ones. From all, we have education. We have a great school of fine arts. You don't find too many softball players that are into fine arts, but occasionally you come across them. And so we have a great program there. And, we have a wide array of majors and a bunch of minors. I think we have 60 different minors they can choose from sports management to education to whatever. They can pick a minor and get a couple of them.
Well, awesome. Well, like I said, thank you so much for talking. This is great, and please let us know when you're coming out to one of these showcases. We'll, if not me or if not Stacy, both of us will come out and get to meet you face to face.
That sounds great, and I appreciate your time. And like I said, Division III is a different animal than 1 and 2, but I like to try to think that we get a great quality student athlete at our schools, and not saying that the Division I's and 2's do not. It just takes a little bit more work on our end, getting these kids, and the time frames are a little different than the 1's and 2's. But I don't think I could see myself coaching at another level. I really love this level, and I really buy into the education part of it, because we have to be realistic that you're not going pro when your softball career is over. So you're going to go pro in something, and it's not going to be softball. It's going to be your career. So take it serious and get a good degree that you can be proud of. And when you leave here, put Alfred University on that resume, and you're going to go find a job.
Great. Well, and you have a great day. Again, I can't thank you enough for talking, and we'll be in touch. Okay.
Sounds great. Tell the wife to say hello.
Will do. Thanks, Luke.
All right. Yep. Take care.
Okay, that's the end. That was me and Luke Wesneski, head softball coach at Alfred University. Please share this with a friend. You can follow me on Twitter at EJ_Horvat.